The following program is brought to you by the McSilver Institute for Poverty Policy and Research. To learn more, visit www.mcsilver.org, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
And welcome to the McSilver Institute for Poverty Policy and Research. I have the real privilege of being the director. I'm Mary McKay. And those of you that know McSilver, that are on our mailing list and have come to our events before, know that we are an institute that really wants to create new knowledge to address the root causes and consequences of poverty. And we are particularly invested in a particular type of new knowledge, which is that's immediately actionable. If we ask a research question, if we find the answer to that question, which policymaker, which community, which provider, which customer of those services care about the answer to that question. And so we're really privileged to have somebody here that has developed a substantial body of knowledge that we hope to learn from and apply. And so I'm going to read you just the, let me just say that this is the cut-down version of your bio.
Oh,
and
good.
so I won't be telling.
It makes me feel old when people read the whole
So I won't be telling you the complete life story of Dr. Susan Popkin, but I will tell you that she's the director of the Urban Institute's program on neighborhoods and youth development, and a senior fellow in the Metropolitan Housing and Communities Policy Center. She's a nationally recognized expert on public and assisted housing, and her work focuses on ways that neighborhood environments affect outcomes for young people and assessing comprehensive community-based interventions. So those of you that know a little bit more in depth about McSilver, you know that we are deeply committed to community collaborative, community-based solutions that come from residents themselves. And so we're just delighted to have you here and looking forward to your remarks. So can you join me in welcoming our speaker?
You guys are making me feel very welcome. Good, good. And it's good to talk to other people who are interested in doing applied action research. The group at the Urban Institute that I lead, that's what we do. That's not what everybody there does, that's what we do. And I'm going to talk about food insecurity, and mostly I'm going to tell you how I got into this and where we're going with it from here, because I'm not one of our specialists in income benefits policy or food security, but it has become such a, I was just saying, it's the elephant in the room. It's become glaringly obvious that it is driving a lot of the things that we're worried about. So I do most of my work in public and assisted housing. This is an absolutely beautiful community garden in Portland, Oregon. 90 families eat out of that garden. Food insecurity rate here is almost 70%. So part of my kick at these days is community gardens are nice, but they are not a solution for anything. That is, and this is a place where people can garden year round. Not New York or Chicago or somewhere where you can only have a 3-month growing season. So this work grows out of the work we've been. All right, now I thought I was expert on this thing. There we go. Doing in public housing in Chicago for a long time. One of my colleagues is sitting back there, grad students. The work we're doing now is called HOST, which I'll tell you about, but it grew out of a demonstration that we did with the Chicago Housing Authority called Chicago Family Case Management Demonstration. That was aimed at vulnerable families in public housing in Chicago. Anyone knows anything about Chicago, they've been tearing down the public housing there over the last 15 years. So there are almost no high-rises left in Chicago. And I had been tracking a group of families as they got moved around, and was getting increasingly concerned that there was a subgroup of families who they just were moving from one building to another as they vacated them, and that they put in a sort of gradually rudimentary social service referral system, but that was not going to be enough to make sure that those families landed safely and got relocated. And we're okay. Let's say we're relocated. It's not moving. And about halfway through their transformation, the Housing Authority was ready to hear that message, because then Mayor Daley did not want his legacy to be that he made a lot of people homeless. And they agreed to a partnership with us, and they actually became the biggest funder of this demonstration in the end. And Heartland Alliance, which is a social service agency in Chicago, and several foundations. And Heartland developed a service model that was modeled on transitional assistance to the homeless, where they provided very intensive case management to the heads of households, so very low caseload, clinical mental health services on site, offered a transitional job service, and financial literacy counseling, and intensive relocation counseling. And when we went back after a couple of years, it actually came out better than we thought it was going to. There was very high engagement. These were people nobody had been able to get to do anything, and the engagement rates stayed around 80%. People were relocated successfully. They didn't look much different than people who were not as vulnerable, who got relocated during the same period, which is where they ended up. Some of them even ended up in the new mixed income housing, so which was the nicest places. There were employment gains, and the most exciting thing were some real improvements in their mental and physical health. This is a very large and statistically significant reduction in depression and anxiety, and along with that, stabilizing the physical health. And I had been studying people being relocated long enough to see, the only thing I'd ever seen before was people's health get worse over time. So we were really excited about that. However, when we looked at the kids, the parents were still reporting very high levels of vulnerability, behavior problems, delinquency, arrests for the boys. And we were really concerned. And then when we went and did some qualitative interviews with the parents, just hearing the stories of the kids, and the success story kids were two young women who were about 20. Each of them had a 1-year-old, and one of them was kind of bumping through community college and working, and the other one was at least sort of on track to do that. And those were the big successes, and that was really discouraging to think that you could get that much benefit for the parents, but the kids had been so, their lives had been so disrupted, and they were so stressed by the move that we needed to do more. And my colleague at Heartland Alliance, who designed the demonstration, was hired at the Housing Authority about halfway through the demonstration. So she and I started talking about what could we do next. How could we do something that would get to the parents and kids at the same time and deliver services to them all at the same time. And that became HOST, Housing Opportunities and Services Together demonstration. HOST was sort of an accident in some ways. We were talking about it. We were trying to figure out what to do. The Open Society Foundations was looking for something to inform HUD's big place-based initiative, Choice Neighborhoods, and they wanted to do something around services, and they found out they couldn't give the money to HUD, and HUD said, you should call Sue Popkin, she knows something about this. And so they called me and said, we have all this money, and we want to do something around housing as a platform for services. Do you have any ideas? We want to do it in multiple sites, and I said, okay. So we ended up doing sort of a demonstration of opportunity. It's sort of places that Sue had friends. But we were able to do, so we were in Chicago, and we were also able to go to Portland, Oregon, where I had seen their new mixed income housing, where you saw that beautiful community garden. And they have a very different population, and it's, I think, an important contrast to the kind of urban African-American population you know, in Chicago. They have a very diverse immigrant community, and they don't have a lot of physical distress. It's all been redone, beautiful housing. And so this is one, and they have enormous families, which is what you see here. And really, really large household sizes. And so we have, so they had, they came on, and in the second year of the demonstration, we ended up with the DC Housing Authority also coming on. You'll hear a lot about DC because of the genesis of the food security study. So we're trying to do a real dual generation, whole family model with those, where the parents and kids in the same household are getting intensive services at the same time, with the goal of improving well-being and helping the kids be more, not be the next generation of public housing residents, really. So these are the original host sites. That they're really different. So the site in Chicago is about as depressing as modern public housing gets. It's not in bad physical condition, but it's very isolated on the far south side of the city. It's almost in Indiana. It's down where the steel mills used to be. There is nothing there except this development and another development across the street from it where people come over and shoot. DC site is about 10 minutes from Capitol Hill. It is actually not that isolated, but it feels like it. It feels like you're in the middle of nowhere when you're there. It's got a lot of other subsidized housing around it, but it also is near a nice working class neighborhood and the single family homes, and it's not far from metro stations, but people there don't go anywhere in the open. So we were working, the site in Benning Terrace has a companion project. That's not a picture of Benning Terrace, though. We were lucky enough to get grants from the Kellogg Foundation and NIH to do a community-based participatory research project in Benning Terrace in DC. And what we were working on there was adolescent sexual health and safety, because this is another line of research I had been doing for a long time. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie The Opportunity Demonstration, but it was a big HUD demonstration that studied families who were living in distressed public housing and randomly assigned them to getting a voucher that they could only use in a low poverty community, or a regular Section 8 voucher, or staying where they were in public housing. And those families were tracked for 15 years intensively, and to the point where they don't like researchers showing up anymore. But one of the findings of MTO about halfway through is that there was great hope that this move was going to help people move to self-sufficiency, and that moving people into places where they could get access to better schools, where they and better jobs, would help the parents get jobs and the kids do better in school. And in fact, at the midpoint, none of that had happened. But what was happening was that the adult women and girls were showing significant gain in mental health, very similar to what I reported, significant decreases in depression and increases in their physical health. And the boys were actually looking worse. And when I looked at that, I had been hanging around distressed public housing long enough and talked to enough women who'd grown up in distressed public housing, and I said, well, that's because the girls got away. And it was a great big meeting room like this at HUD, and all the men in the room were, no. You need to worry about those boys. What's wrong with them? They're getting arrested too much. Or, they just totally dismissed that. And it turned out to be the most important finding that came out of MTO is what happened to the health. So my colleague, Zach Briggs, and I were able to get some money to do qualitative follow-up with families to look at that issue, among others. And sure enough, it's exactly what women talked about when you asked them about what was different. Well, I let my girls go outside here. I feel like they're safe. I feel like no one's going to grab them. The girls would talk about being able to walk down the street without people harassing them or making them feel scared. And the kids who were the most poignant were the kids whose parents had moved for a while and then they'd given up and moved back. And so they knew what it was like to feel safe, and they lost that feeling. So, and I guess 3 years ago, when we finished the 10-year evaluation, the women and girls findings, they found not only the same mental health findings, but also reductions in diabetes and obesity. So those health findings are very important and now are getting the attention they deserve, I think. But so I started thinking about, well, what does that mean about the communities where these kids live? And we know a lot about the violence, and we know about collective efficacy, but there's something else that's being gender-specific that's happening to the girls. And started thinking about this idea of something we call the coercive sexual environment, which I think talk about more after this. But the grant, I started collaborating with some folks at UCSD who do a lot of work around dating violence and sexual exploitation, and we got this grant to create a curriculum to go along with the host services in DC. The DC Housing Authority was very eager for us to work with their kids around this issue. DC has the highest rate of HIV in the Western Hemisphere, and they were excited, in fact asked if they were going to be part of host, would we please focus on their girls. So we brought this to DC, and so we're actually about to launch the curriculum next week, 2 weeks, right after Thanksgiving. So and we'll have one for girls and older girls, older boys, and for little kids and for parents. So one of the things that came out of the planning process, the CBPR process in Benning Terrace, was we were, my staff were in the community working with residents, and one of the women at one of the meetings said, well, you know what the girls do to get food to get the guys to buy the food from the ice cream truck, which is sort of like a bodega on wheels. And my staff said, we don't know. I'm not sure we want to know, but started talking about it, yeah, that just happened. I mean, it's very normalized. I think is the thing that's most disturbing is that you ask people in the community if this is a problem, they won't tell you it's a problem. They don't like it if you ask them more about it. They'll tell you the problems they'll talk about are the shootings and the violence and the things and the maintenance, the things that they see outside. But this is more of the, it's not that people like it, it's more that they don't think they can do anything about it. It's just the way it is. So we couldn't know that and not try to do something about it. So we were able to get a partnership with Feeding America to look at this issue around food insecurity, find out how was this something people were talking about, how big of a problem was it. We heard a lot of awful things already. Was this just sort of a casual aside? And we were lucky enough that one of the board members from Feeding America is at the Urban Institute to connect us. And so they provided us with funding for a small study where we did focus groups with boys and girls in each of the 3 host sites. And to look at the larger issues around food security, so not just this issue around sexual health and safety, but what are kids doing and how much of an issue is it for teens. So, and how much are teens, we looked at how much teens were involved in the coping strategies in their household, how it affects their overall well-being and their risky behavior. And one of the questions Feeding America was very interested in is when apparently this is something no food bank has been able to crack, how do you get teens to come in for help? All the existing programs are geared to families, little kids, parents. Food banks have food that, they have a big box of oatmeal or something. Kids want to go get and it's not open when they're available anyway. So that was our main questions. We did 2 things. One is we looked back at the post-baseline survey to get a better sense of how bad the food insecurity was across the sites. And then we did qualitative interviews with service providers, with the case managers, and these focus groups at each of the sites. So, show you briefly, we did a survey in each of the sites, both adults and kids, but we didn't ask the kids about food insecurity. Much to my chagrin, I wish we had now. We didn't realize we should be at that point. The parents can report for that. So I just want to call attention to the fact that this is these are communities where people have a housing subsidy. They should theoretically be better off than other poor people, right? They have stable housing. It may not be great housing, but it's stable and it's affordable. And every single site, the rates of food insecurity, 3/4 of the people are telling us they're food insecure. And they're going hungry. And so I think that is really exciting. And it makes me really worried about what's happening outside of public housing for kids, because these folks are all in a place. Now, it's also true that the people, I don't know why this is, and I think this has to do with who lives in public housing and how big their families are, but the host families are worse off than other poor people. At least when we compare them to national data. So I do think, especially in Portland, it must have something to do with the very large family sizes. Increasingly convinced this is all happening because people just don't have cash assistance anymore. And they can't earn enough to make up the difference. And there's just more there. There weren't any real differences between I think because there are so few food secure households in house. The other thing we found out, one of the later things we did when we presented these data to the communities, is that this is for sure an underreport. We were walking around, I was walking around with a nice lady from Chicago, and she said, well, people don't like to tell people on the survey because they're ashamed. And she said, and I know, because I'm one of those people. And her case manager heard her, and she said, I know that woman's not getting as much snap as she's supposed to. I'm going to come back and work with her. So it's a pretty amazing moment, but that's the other thing that blows my mind. It's probably closer to 100%. However, the people who reported food insecurity also reported a lot of other problems, mental health, physical health problems, substance abuse problems. So they're probably the most vulnerable families and probably the ones least likely to be working. The focus group discussions with the kids were just, we sent out our cool and kept young people to do the focus groups. People like me who looked like their mom. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if we talk about it. And when we went to Portland, they asked us not to talk about sex. They were really concerned about it. It's a very heavily Muslim community. They thought we would offend people. we just asked the kids about hunger in their community, and what do kids do when they're hungry, and the kids told us. And it's been was a real shock to the people from the housing authority, their eye-opening experience. And of course, I think in retrospect, they should have realized they're working with refugee populations, and absolutely it was happening. Teams in all of the sites reported that food insecurity was a problem in their community. And you can see some of their clothes. I'm sure that one of them were there. I ain't going to sit here and say it's a struggle for people to eat, because people have been doing this for so long. Like, you know what he's saying, they're trying to make their snap out of it stretch. I'm pretty sure they know how to stretch it by now. So it's another one of those, this is the way it is, we just got to deal with it moments. And people were talking about starving themselves for part of the month. It was really stunning how much the kids felt responsible for helping their parents and helping their younger siblings. They felt really like they have adult responsibility from the very young. So the kids were doing all kinds of things. They weren't just doing risky behavior. They were doing things like working so many hours that they weren't really going to school. They were doing lots of odd jobs. They were hustling. They were selling things. There was anything they could figure out to do. Like this kid said that he's got two little sisters, or she has two little sisters, and I could go out and do stuff. She has the money in the house. I'll be doing hair. I'll go out, do performances and stuff for a dance group. I just got to do stuff like that to keep money in the house. So these kids are feeling very responsible, and for their parents. So they told us about lots of ways they cope. One was the stretching and the budgeting I talked about, eating less so their younger siblings could have enough, skipping meals, hanging out at their friend's house and hoping they get invited for dinner. And there are people we know from other stuff we've done, and people in the community who just will get the kids in. There's a lot of the older women. Working long hours, odd jobs, selling their days and their clothes. And then we heard about all kinds of risky behavior. Stealing, we heard about identity theft. The boys apparently were very involved with credit card theft. Selling drugs, and a lot about transaction sites. And mostly from the girls, not entirely, but mostly from the girls. So just some what they said about how hungry they are and what they're doing again. They're going hungry. And I think it's just all sad. I don't know what else to say about it. And they feel really desperate. They'll go out, and this girl also, it's not just food, it's also clothes. They don't have clothes that fit. So this girl's talking about she steals something to wear. And they're teens and they want to look good too. So, and they're making teenager decisions. And then we heard a lot about trading sexual favors for food at all three sites. We heard, especially in Portland, the kids talked about the kids having sponsors, which is an older boyfriend, who was buying clothes and food for them or food for their family. A lot of the girls felt responsible for providing for their family. This happened to be a boy, which is unusual, but stripping and feeling like they have to do anything. And dating, a lot of dating older guys in order to get money. And when we asked them about all that, so what would help you when you think about the programs, they hate the current programs. They don't think they fit their needs. The food banks aren't open when they're out of school, and they don't want to go there anyway. They're embarrassing. They don't want to be that kid who has to ask for help. We don't have the quote up here, but one of the kids in Chicago gave this really poignant statement about those kids. You don't want to be that kid who has to go up and ask the teacher for tampons and soap when she keeps a bucket under her desk. It's so embarrassing. So what they really want, as far as we can tell, is something where there's just food around. Like there was one kid who was going to a school that just had a pantry you could go into and just take things. Anyone could go in. You didn't have to qualify for it. And they like that as an idea. So we were getting ready to release this report, and Feeding America is a really wonderful partner to work with. They were not pressuring us to get it out right away. We were really concerned about the message we were going to be sending if we released it as it is right now, and that it was going to be a story about brown kids in public housing doing bad things instead of desperate children who are hungry doing bad things. And so we talked to Feeding America, and we just in fact got the funding this week. And we're going to take this out to some other kinds of communities. They our affiliates. They're the national organization of food banks in the United States. And some of their affiliates have been asking them to come there. And rural Illinois, we go to a rural white community in Illinois. We might go to Berea, Kentucky, and it's again maybe opportunistic, but I work with the Promise neighborhood there. We are going to go to some immigrant communities that are not public housing. And see, I'm guessing we'll hear exactly the same thing, but we're going to be doing that over the next year. And the other thing we're going to be doing, because we like to do action things and not just document how awful it is, and Feed America really liked this idea. The kids at Portland were all fired up at the end of their focus group. They were not depressed, they were not sad. They were like, we've got to do something about this. We've got to fix it. And so we're going to go back and work with them on developing a teen-friendly food intervention that we can pilot. And we're hoping to do that in more than one place over time, but we're only funding it on one site. So that is going to also be, that is actually starting to be. So we're really excited about that. They've got a really activist food bank out there that's ready to go. There's a partner organization that works with homeless teens around sexual health and safety that's also ready to go. They're the ones who run that beautiful garden too. So that is where we are at this point.
Wow. You know, I have to say that Andy just leaned over to me to say, we have